everybody. So I'm Kate, and I did mine on what is feminism and is it helping women's equality. So really quick, does anybody know what feminism is? Can anybody answer that question? Or have they ever met a feminist? Anyone? Savannah?
There's a few different factors that go into feminism, but a lot of the time it's talking about like a woman getting paid equally and like being treated the same way as like men are.
Yeah. That's a part of it for sure. So what is feminism? It's the belief in social, economic, and political equality of the sexes. And a feminist is a person who supports this and fights for this. So can a feminist only be a woman, or is it men and women? Do you guys know? Both? Yeah. Yeah, so it can be men and women. And I've got a video here for you guys to watch.
We've already seen how men can run the world because they've been doing it, and there's been a lot of messed up things that have happened because of it. I think it's time for women to actually have a voice.
Feminism literally just means you believe in equality of the sexes.
To me, feminism is about equity, much more than it is about equality. If you and another person want to see over a wall, and the person is much taller than you, and you're both given a stool of the same height, then you and the tall person will be able to see over the wall, but the tall person will still be able to see much farther out than you. That's equality. You're both given the same share, but one person is still always going to have more labor. Equity, on the other hand, is the notion that you would be given a higher stool because you're shorter or you have less opportunity. At the end, you're both the same height.
It's important to acknowledge that women of color and poor women were excluded from original feminist movements. And if we're going to redefine today what it means to be a feminist, we need to acknowledge that original exclusion and make sure that their voices are amplified in our movement.
Intersectionality is my favorite word. It refers to the vectors of oppression that occur when systems and hierarchies interact.
There are so many different levels and facets of oppression besides womanhood and then color, womanhood and then economic opportunity, or class, or sexual orientation, or gender identity. Those things just add on top of the weight that happens when you identify as a woman in our culture.
If your feminism is not intersectional, is not trans-inclusive, if it's ableist, if it's racist, then it's not feminism. Our movement becomes less powerful if we're leaving people behind.
So that's kind of a cool video. I think that's explained pretty well. I also never thought about the equity factor. I always just thought it was equality, so that's kind of cool, right? So this is the opposing side. While feminism sounds great, many believe it's not. So it's a common belief that feminism is all about hating men and trying to be better than them. This is also known as misandry. So that's like the practice of hating men. There's a stereotype that all feminists are obnoxious, aggressive, angry lesbians. This isn't the case. People who are feminists can be straight or gay, men or women, and they don't always have to be angry. But I think that they come off this way because, they want to fight for what they want. Women and men are not the same, so they can never be equal. This is kind of the idea that, I will never be the same as a man, because we're clearly very different. So how could we ever have that equality? But I think it just comes down to the equality versus sameness factor. Men have said that they believe feminists hate men because they get labeled as sexist, unable to control themselves, stubborn, irresponsible, etc. So that one's on the men's side. It's not really fair to them to label them all in one category. So I think that's a lot of the reason why they come off as disliking feminists as well. And then many women do not call themselves a feminist because they don't want others to consider them awful. So I personally know a lot of girls who want to support equality, including myself, but don't want to be necessarily called a feminist because I don't want to be seen as like angry and obsessed, So these are some statistics that I found. So this was a national survey done, so let's go over a few of these. So 43% said that yes, feminists are angry. 54% though said they're not. A lot of people agreed that it was not outdated, so that people should keep fighting for feminists. And overall, 70% think it is empowering, so that's kind of good to know. Then there was a question, do you consider yourself to be a strong feminist, a feminist, not a feminist, or anti-feminist? most people consider themselves a feminist or not a feminist for men. And then, which of the following do you think is a big factor keeping women from achieving full equality from men? The choices women make themselves is 45%, and discrimination against women is 42%. So that was interesting how close that was. Then the last one was the feminist movement unfairly blames men for women's challenges. Is this true or not true? And it was pretty even overall. So this was interesting. I saw this on Twitter while I was actually, just randomly scrolling. So this was about the election, if only women or only men voted. And this lady retweeted it and said men are always the problem. This post actually got 10.6 thousand likes and 2,931 retweets. So I thought that was interesting that just by her saying that men are always the problem, got that many reshares and all that. So here's some more numbers for you. About 6 in 10 US adults say feminism has helped the lives of white, black, and Hispanic women at least a little bit, so there is something happening. More than a third say feminism has helped white women a lot, and only 21% say it's done the same for black women, and 1 in 10 say feminism has helped more women a lot. So while it's slowly moving, we're getting there somewhere. So on average, 9% women earn 9% less than men, which is something that people are still strongly fighting for. 1 in 3 women are sexually abused at some point in their life, so that's also a big fight that feminists are trying to bring that to zero, and also bring awareness to it. There are more CEOs named John than there are women CEOs altogether, which I thought was really interesting. But yeah, I think people are going to start trying to, break through that barrier. And then 1 in 10 girls in the the UK, aged 14 to 21, can't afford menstrual products. That's another big fight: is should menstrual products be cheaper or free? So is feminism actually helping women's equality? So yeah, it is. Over the years, feminists have come together all over the world to help fight for discrimination against women in all kinds of ways. So here's a couple examples. Is feminists have helped bring awareness to rape culture and helped remove the stigma. Feminists help bring awareness to the LGBTQ, fight for same-sex marriage. So like they were saying in the video, feminists aren't just only women fighting for women. They're also fighting for a number of things. They have brought for and are fighting still for equality in the workplace, and even back in the day they earned the right to vote. So yeah, if you were able to vote this year, good for you. It's because of women. And then what I found in doing my research, I found that feminists are not man-hating angry people. They are both men and women who are fighting for equality to all. I thought this picture was kind of interesting. She talks about how she believes men are rational human beings. They're not sexually just charged by their sex drives, and then at the end she says, in short, I'm a feminist, and then that's when the girl comes in and says, a feminist, why do you hate men? So it's as soon as that name comes in that it changes the whole perspective. So I think that before doing my research, I really did not like feminism. I had friends who were feminists, and I was like, that's annoying, like stop, you're fine, But after doing some research, I actually accepted the fact that, women can fight for what they want as well as men should. And I think that as long as something's happening, there can be, equality for all. Yeah, I would like to call myself a feminist, but not have that stigma behind it. And then my solution, like I said, is as long as something's happening, I think it's good for all. If you want to fight for something, do it. If you don't, don't. But it clearly is making a change, yeah, it's not hurting anybody as long as you don't get too aggressive. And then there's my citations.